Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is the corner of the internet where I talk about my knitting and spinning. Me and Angel have been having such a wonderful time up here in Evergreen, Colorado, house and dog sitting for our family friends. So in my last video, I showed how he and I went kayaking, not canoeing. I don't know why I said that, but we went kayaking in a small lake here, not too far from downtown Evergreen. Yesterday, we went kayaking again, but this time in Frisco, Breckenridge, Colorado, which is about an hour away from where we are. So it's a much bigger lake with very spectacular views of the mountains because you are very much in the Rocky Mountains at that point. And so that was just so much fun, so beautiful. We ended up taking a tour. The tour guide was super fun. The water was crystal clear, and once again, the day was just perfect. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, and the lake water was just glass. There was barely any like interruption in the water. So it was just so lovely, and we got to see some wildlife like blue herrings and some type of a raptor type of a bird, which was really cool. We actually saw one carrying a fish as it flew over us. It was wonderful. And yeah, it ended up being about 2 hours, and it was like a 5 mile round trip situation. So I was beat yesterday, but I was able to get a little bit knitting done. And so let me go ahead and share with you guys about my knitting. My cumulus tee is pretty much done. I wanted it quite cropped, so I went ahead and bound off for the bottom. And I started one of the sleeves, but I didn't bring enough of my materials, so I was doing magic loop, and that was just driving me nuts. So I'm gonna wait until I get home to get on some shorter circular needles to finish off these sleeves, and I will have this done, and I'm super excited for it. I am knitting this with the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the main color Bark and the striped contrast color Red Currant. I am nearing completion of my Staffen Shawl by Rebecca Clow. I am knitting this with some hand spun that I did. So this was a wool from Oner Alquier that I got, and I spun up in a 3-ply, so it's a worsted weight yarn in this beautiful grungy green color, and I am obsessed with it. So I am finishing up the 2x2 border, and this should be done. This is pretty much the only project that I'm going to be able to work on until we get home, and I'm going to explain why. As I shared before, I was planning on casting on the Ivy blouse by Petite Knit with this yarn from Daughter of a Shepherd, which is a 100% natural wool, undyed, in the color Ammonite. This yarn is so special to me just because it is stunning. It's so gorgeous, so textured. It's got this lovely heather to it. I honestly don't know what type of wool this is. I know that Daughter of a Shepherd is a British brand, so it's probably some type of British sheep, but it's gorgeous. And I mean, the dimension and depth of the color gray in this yarn is just so beautiful. It definitely has like a heathering to it that's super nice. So I had cast it on for the Ivy blouse and got to a couple of the increases for the shoulders, until I realized, I'm not too happy with the type of fabric it was coming out. It did feel very dense on the needle size that it was requesting, and I wasn't quite hitting gauge. I was about a stitch or two off in the sense that my gauge was bigger than what the pattern was requesting. I was also not quite sure how I was gonna like the collar of this pattern, because it is a raw edge collar, and I noticed that my yarn was folding over or rolling in on itself since it's a raw edge, so it's all stockinette. So I started the project with a provisional cast on to leave the collar on live stitches so that I could go back to it after I block it and finish the project and see if I like that collar, and if not, I would just continue knitting to make a turtleneck, which I think would look really nice with this pattern. But while I was in Breckenridge, we stopped at a coffee shop, and that's where I had first cast on the project. I didn't do a provisional cast on at that time. I ended up doing it again when we got back home, but I'm pretty sure I had lost my longer cable for my Addy click-on needles. So as you increase pretty rapidly in this pattern, and so it was getting really tight on these circular needles, and I wanted to switch them out for the longer ones to continue working on it when I realized that I had lost that extension. So super bummed about it, but I took it as a sign. I said to myself, I'm not really liking the fabric. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I don't know about the color. And then I started thinking, I think this pattern would look really nice in the yarn that's requested, which is like a mohair or a surrey held double, so it's like really airy. So I decided to just rip it back. But I decided to kind of look at some more options because I really want to work with this yarn. So I was looking at several different patterns before I started the ivy top or the ivy blouse. And one that I really liked was the Anais or Anai tee from Gregoria Fibers. So this is a top-down project with a really nice cable detailing just in the front of the pattern. It's made as a tee, but of course I can go ahead and just lengthen those arms to make it a sweater. This pattern requests a DK weight yarn, but with a pretty big gauge. I think the pattern requests a US 8 needle, and so what I did was I went ahead and used the ends of the needles of my Staff and Shawl, because these are US 8, and I made myself a tiny little swatch off of these needles with my yarn, and I really liked how it looked, and I was able to meet gauge. So I'm going to wait until we get home to cast this project on, and that way, I'll be able to have all the materials I need. Since these US 8s are in use now at home, I'll be able to use a different US 8 needles that I have and get this project started. So in the meantime, the only project that I have to work on until we get home is my Staff and Shawl, which is okay. If anything, I think I'm going to be able to finish it during this trip, which would be awesome. So me and Angel are going to go into town. I'm going to drop him off again at the gym so he can get a workout in. After yesterday's excursion, I am beat. That was my workout for the next couple of days, so I'm going to take the day off from working out. I'm going to take you guys to a coffee shop, and I'm going to get working on my Staff and Shawl there. and we enjoyed ourselves so much. It was so cool kayaking for the first time. It was both me and Angel's first time kayaking, and we got to do it twice in two beautiful places. So I'm so fortunate that we were able to do that, and I'm wanting to do more of it. Hopefully it's something that I can get into and do maybe every summer. I got so much knitting done. Of course, with some tools that I didn't have, they kind of got interrupted. So my Cumulus tee is waiting to get worked on when we get home, as well as my Daughter of a Shepherd wool yarn that I'm going to turn into a Anai top or Anai tee. So I'm going to start that when I get home. And I'm almost done with my staff and shawl. So I am continuing doing the final border edge of the shawl. I just want to do as many rows as possible until I finish this last little ball of yarn that I spun up. So I'm very looking forward to having this, especially now that the weather is getting cooler and like I just feel like fall is right around the corner. So I'm so looking forward to waking up and throwing this over my shoulder, or you know, in the evenings if I have to walk the doggos, I can just throw this over my shoulders as well. On our last day, me and Angel are going to go to our favorite breakfast spot down in Evergreen downtown. So we're going to go do that now, and after that we're going to hit up Amano's, which was the coffee shop that I took footage in my last video. It's by far one of our favorite coffee shops in Colorado. It's so beautiful. It sits right next to a creek, and they have a seating area next to the creek. You often see deer just like right there in front of you. It's incredible, and their coffee and pastries and the things that they sell there are just amazing. The staff and the owners are incredible. Yeah, they're just so friendly. We've actually become friends with them. So every time we come in, we always get a warm welcome. And even in the winter, they have a chimney, they have a fireplace, and they'll even light a fire. And it's just so wholesome. It feels like you're hanging out at home. It's just so beautiful. And they also sell plants there, which is really cool. So I'll take footage of us there. We're probably going to sit outside. I know that Angel refuses to sit inside because he just loves sitting next to the creek, even when it's like snowing and so cold out there. They do have like a fire pit that they sometimes light up if people want to sit out in the backyard, or in the back patio, but he will always sit out there. He'll be all bundled up. Whereas I will be a little bit more flexible, and sometimes I'll sit inside, sometimes I'll sit outside. So, but it's so beautiful today that I think we're going to be able to sit outside. And it is Friday in the middle of the, like in the morning, late morning. So it shouldn't be too busy. So that's going to be awesome. So let's go. I have finished my Staff and Shawl by Rebecca Clow. As you guys know, I had hand spun this yarn with some wool that I got from Oner Okier, which is a Swedish company. The only modification I did for this pattern is that on the stockinette section, every time there was a stockinette section in the pattern, there is pearl like bumps that are throughout that section to make kind of a diamond or X shape. I omitted that because it was really hard to see with this fabric. So that's the only difference I did. It ended up using the exact amount of yarn that I had, which was so satisfying. I was left with such a tiny little bit of yarn left over. And I am just so happy with this finished accessory. It is so soft, it's so warm. I can't wait to wear it over jackets, over dresses in the fall. I just am obsessed with the color. And yeah, I would highly recommend this pattern. It was awesome to knit, and it's really nice that she provides 3 different sizes depending on what type of yarn you're using and how much of it you have. Hey guys, it's a few days later and we are back home. We had such a wonderful time in Evergreen, and you know, it's good to be back home. So I actually got quite a lot done these last couple of weeks. I have 3 FOs to share with you guys, and I'm planning on casting on a few new things since I got those off of the needles, which I'm really excited about. So right before going up to Evergreen, I actually had finished my Nord vest. Here it is. I absolutely love how this garment fits on me. It is such a great pattern. I really love the details of it, and I would highly recommend it. I did knit this with Kelborn Woolen Scout in their natural white color. And I did dye this with avocado pits and skins. And so that's what brought this beautiful peachy color to it. I am going to over dye this eventually when I get enough avocado skins and pits. And now that I understand the dyeing process a little bit more, I'm going to try to make it darker. And pretty much the difference that I would do this time than last time is I would just create the dye bath and do that for a longer amount of time so that the dye is more saturated, as well as soaking this in that dye bath for longer in order for it to absorb into the fibers and get a more vibrant, hopefully a more earthy reddish pink color. But regardless, I am so happy with how this looks, and I'm even happy with the color. I just want to see how much darker I can get it, because I was envisioning this to be more of a darker pink. But yeah, gorgeous garment. I love how it fits. While we were at Evergreen, it ended up that I could only really work on the Staff and Shawl by Rebecca Clow, and I was able to finish it. Here it is, completely done and blocked, and oh my goodness, after blocking it has just loosened up so much. It's so much drapier. I did kind of aggressively block this since this is quite a thick yarn and it's hardy, so like it can take some wear and tear to it. So I did block it pretty aggressively so that it could get more of a drape to it and the stitches can just relax. And is this not so beautiful? I am so thrilled with this. Actually later today, me and Angel are gonna go see a string symphony not too far from here. So the person that we house and dog sit for up in Evergreen, he plays the bass professionally in symphonies. And so he's actually going to be performing at a park tonight. And he scored us some tickets. So we're going to go to that later, which I'm really excited for. We're actually going to bring Yaku along. We have Yaku here with us. I'm going to bring this along in case if it gets chilly, and I can just drape this over my shoulders, and if anyone asks me, I can say, you know, I hand spun and knitted this shawl. So the second I got home last night, I grabbed my short circular needle so that I could whip out and finish my Cumulus Tee by Petite Knit and get these sleeves done on a shorter needle. So I ended up finishing the first sleeve doing magic loop, which drove me absolutely insane, but I was able to get it done. And once I got home last night, I whipped out my shorter needles and finished the second sleeve, and this has been blocked. It's still a little bit damp, but oh, I love this color combination so much. Once it's completely dry, I am going to wear this and take some B-roll so that you can see how it fits and what I'm gonna wear it with. Probably just jeans. High-waisted, of course, because I did make this quite cropped, which was intentional. It's giving Freddy Krueger, and I'm for it. I love my horror movies. So yeah, this is my third and final finished object for this video. So I am finishing up my Romney spin that I've been working on my spinning wheel for the last couple of weeks. I have 2 of the 100-gram skeins completed, and I have 1 more to finish up. It's not a full 100 grams. I believe it's about 80 to 90 grams. So it'll probably be quicker for me to finish up, and those skeins of yarn will be ready. And I'm planning on dyeing that with some madder root. So make sure to tune in when I start that project. But I once again was influenced by a YouTuber that I really enjoy watching. Her name is Jack from Jack in the Attic. She will also be linked down below. Love her content. She's very alternative goth, and I'm here for it. I love her aesthetic, and she's quite witty and really funny. I really like her channel. But she was mentioning that because she has started spinning not too long ago, and she's just kicking ass at it. And she had a Polworth that she was spinning from John Auburn that she had gotten from some yarn shop near her. And she was saying how wonderfully it spun up and how thin she was able to get it spun. And so I was really curious on working with a Polworth. And so I ended up finding Myrtle yarn, which was actually introduced to me by Knitting with Ev, another great YouTube content creator. I'll have her link down below as well. But Myrtle yarn is a Canadian-based, Canadian-based fiber, like a dye studio. And I noticed that they had some Polworth, and so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get some. So I got 2 braids of this beautiful color. This is called Mustard Seed, and it is a 100% Polworth wool, and it is non-superwash, and it's in this beautiful golden yellow color with some orange and dark brown speckles throughout it. And so this is going to be my next spin. I got 2 braids of it. Each braid is, I believe, each one is 100 grams. Along with that, I have some more cat silk or cattail silk by Pearl Soho. I had knit my sabai top in this yarn, and it's super beautiful. I really enjoy the dimension, the texture, and the speckles that are within this silk. I got this absolutely gorgeous color, which is called Kingfisher Blue, which I think is very apt. I am a big evolutionary biology nerd, and so the kingfisher bird is such an interesting species of bird, and they do have this just absolutely gorgeous blue to them. And I was definitely influenced by by my friend Natalie of Knit Cheek. I'll have her YouTube handle listed below. She's been knitting a lot with blue and I've been really influenced by it. We're both half Peruvian, which is so interesting, and I feel like we both have a similar complexion, and she's been knitting with blue a lot, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try knitting with blue. And so I was really attracted to this color, and I am going to knit my second ranunculus with this yarn held double. So I figured that would be a perfect project to just whip out before the summer ends, since it's such a fast project. I'm pretty sure the first one I made literally took me like 4 days. So I'm gonna cast this on at some point soon. Super excited about it. So I'm gonna wind these up and hopefully get casting on within the next few days. So that's my update from the first day of being back at home. Super excited and lots to share. But I will bring you guys along with us when we go to the symphony tonight, and I will share my progress on the Anais tea here in a couple of days. Let's go. So that's what I have for you guys in this week's video. Thanks so much for coming along with me as I get quite a bit of knitting done, since I had a little bit over a week off from work. I am so happy with my finished objects, and I'm super excited for my new cast-ons. My Anai tee from Gregoria Fibers is working up quite quickly. I think it's just because of the needle size and the gauge. It's actually quite a quick knit. So this is what I have so far. Has that beautiful cable detailing in the front there, and this yarn is just coming together so nicely. I am hitting gauge perfectly in this project, so I'm really excited to see how the fit is. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Make sure to get some crafting in and subscribe if you haven't already.